Trump facing outrage over his tweets overnight, now explaining his words after using that phrase, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." The president saying late today he did not know the history of that phrase, and his explanation comes after Joe Biden offered his own message to the nation and his reaction to the president's words. Here's our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, tonight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
President Trump called a press conference today, but he abruptly walked out without saying a single word about the growing anger over the death of George Floyd. But overnight, just before 1 a.m., with the streets of Minneapolis ablaze, he seemed to call for violence, tweeting, "These thugs are dishonoring the memory of George Floyd, and I won't let that happen." He said the military was ready, adding, quote, "Any difficulty and we will assume control. But when the looting starts, the shooting starts." And with that, the president echoed a phrase with a racist past, one used in the late 1960s by Miami's then police chief who called for violence against African-American rioters. The president also took aim at Minneapolis's mayor, calling him the very weak radical left mayor, Jacob Frey. Mayor responded in a middle-of-the-night news conference.
Weakness is pointing your finger at somebody else during a time of crisis. Donald Trump knows nothing about the strength of Minneapolis. We are strong as hell.
Twitter declared the president's tweet about shooting looters a violation of its rule against glorifying violence. The president tried to get around that by posting the same words on the White House's official Twitter account. Twitter marked that tweet too. Meanwhile, Joe Biden addressed the country with live remarks from his home, saying he had spoken to George Floyd's family.
We see it plainly that we're a country with an open wound, and none of us can turn away. None of us can be silent. None of us can any longer can we hear the words, "I can't breathe," and do nothing.
Biden then condemned the president's tweets.
You know, this is no time for incendiary tweets. It's no time to encourage violence. This is a national crisis, and we need real leadership right now.
Former President Obama also weighed in, saying, quote, "For millions of Americans, being treated differently on account of race is tragically, painfully, maddeningly normal," adding that the country needed to move on to, quote, "a new normal in which the legacy of bigotry and unequal treatment no longer infects our institutions or our hearts." And late this afternoon, the current president finally spoke to the cameras, saying he too had talked to the family of George Floyd.
Well, I just expressed my sorrow. That was just a horrible thing to witness and to watch. And it would certainly look like there was no excuse for it.
And in addition to talking about what he said to the family, John, late today, the president also tried to clarify those tweets overnight.
Just a short while ago, the president said that he did not know the racist history of the phrase, "When the looting starts, the shooting starts." And David, he said that what he meant to be saying was not to encourage violence against looters, but that when you do have looting, like you had last night, people often get shot. That said, David, most people did not interpret the president's words that way, and it took him some 13 hours to clarify that he was not calling for the shooting of looters. David?